This week on the Organized Life podcast.
Well, where I live, they come out with their sale on Wednesday.
Yeah,
So on Wednesday, you can go online and see what's on sale, and you can shop from, you can shop directly from what's on sale and plan your meals. So, for example, where I am, this week we had chicken breasts, we had hamburger, and we had pork roast. So I think for busy people, one thing is, for example, with the pork roast, you could cook it once and use it several different ways. You could
yeah.
have it maybe with potatoes and vegetables as a roast. You could have it for barbecued sandwiches. You could have it in tacos. So I think planning ahead, if you know the roast is on sale, you can say, oh, well, I can cook it once and use it three ways.
Hey, 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 and welcome to the Organized Life podcast, where we are creating a movement with powerful organizing strategies and systems that save you space, time, energy, and money. I am your host, Takilla Rene, the life organizing strategist, professional organizer, and the owner of the Organized Life headquarters. I am so excited today to have this conversation with Carol Kate. Welcome, Carol.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Listen, this is a conversation that we've never had on the show, and I think you guys are really, really going to enjoy it. So I'll just start off by saying, did you know that the average family could save about $2,000 a year simply by reducing food waste? What if the secret isn't in spending less, but actually organizing better? I mean, really. And Carol is going to help us with that today. And I'm super excited to have you, Carol. So, would you just tell the Organized Life listeners a little bit more about you, how you got started in this field of expertise, and whatever else you would like for us to know about you before we get started?
Sure, I'll share my journey. I was born in a corner market. Well, actually, I grew up in a corner market. I wasn't born there. My father was a grocer. Our first grocery store was so small that carts could only travel in one direction. My father was a fanatic about quality food, and he taught me to select superior perishables before I learned the alphabet. I learned my most important lesson about cooking from my father. The quality of the ingredients you use is more important than the recipe.
Mm,
So I grew up doing all sorts of odd jobs like sacking potatoes, working in the office. When I graduated from college, I moved to Denver and married my husband. When my parents passed, I inherited co-ownership of the business my father founded, so my family moved to Fort Collins to help run the business. At the time we moved up there, we had two grocery stores. When we closed, we had six. We owned a bakery production facility that was selected as Retail Baker of the Year in 1991 by Retail Bakers of America, and we had 9 pharmacy locations. We opened a 63,000 square foot store in 1998, which was big by that standard of those days, but not today. 2 months after we opened it, the city closed the road in front of it. Our
mm,
sales dropped from 390,000 a week to 190,000 a week.
mm,
The road was closed for 6 months. The day the road opened, our supplier tried to take us over. They said, give us $1 million or give us your keys today. Uh, we negotiated with them all day from 10 in the morning until midnight. Every time they broke us and we agreed to their demands, they would call the CEO and rescind the offer.
mm.
So when a deal wasn't made, we regrouped and decided to fight them. We ended up in federal court, and their case against us was dismissed because they had RICO violations. But it cost us $1 million for attorneys,
Mm.
and we had to sell one of our locations and lease it back in order to pay our legal bills. It was the beginning of a downward spiral.
Yeah.
We filed for Chapter 11 in February of 2001, had our plan approved in August. Then 9/11 happened and people changed their buying habits, and Super Walmart opened in our town, and our creditors forced us into bankruptcy.
Mm.
Uh, our bankruptcy made the front page of our local paper 11 out of 14 days. So everybody we knew and everybody we didn't know knew what had happened.
Yeah.
I thought the story of mom and pop fighting the big corporation would make a great book. So I have been working on that memoir for 25 years and I plan to finish it this year. I call it Busted But Not Broken. But
Ah,
I drove my husband totally crazy.
yeah.
He said, "You have all these wonderful recipes. Why don't you put them together in a cookbook?" So, my favorite responsibility at the stores was to write a recipe for our weekly ad. So, if we had pork chops in the ad, I would do a pork chop recipe. And as I got better
Fun.
at it, I tried incorporating multiple items in the ad into my recipe. So I put my recipes together in a cookbook. It's called Secret Recipes from the Corner Market. It has 367 recipes. It was
Nice.
selected as a top 10 favorite by the Denver Post and has won 3 national awards. To set myself apart, I included grocery insider wisdom on how to select and store perishables. I am the only award-winning cookbook author that used to be a grocer. And
Nice.
when I hadn't done social media, but as I started trying to get my fiction and my memoir out, I decided I needed to do social media. So I started in 2021 with a young man named Bobby Crew, who writes horror and he likes snakes. So we have nothing in common.
Mhm.
But he asked me to do a blog on saving money at the grocery store. 2022 was our worst year for inflation. The supermarket industry believes that it is because of the Ukraine war. Uh, when Putin invaded Ukraine, wheat prices soared 34% per metric ton. Ukraine is the breadbasket of Europe. So
Mm.
that was our worst year for inflation. So I decided to pull my shopping information out and I spent a year expanding it to create Grocery Shopping Secrets, which contains everything I learned as a grocer and as a cook about food to help people be smarter shoppers.
Mhm. Ah, such a great story. Love that. Well, you spent decades owning and operating a supermarket and managing hundreds of employees. What are some of the biggest lessons you learned about organization and running a business of that size?
Well, you have to have a plan.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a plan, there is chaos. I guess I thought I would share my first experience with disorganization. My brother, I was in partnership with my brother, and bless his heart, he was not an organized person. And our one of our supermarkets was across the street from our mall. And the man who ran the mall showed up one day and he said, Bert Plant promised us to have a wagon full of pumpkins
Mm.
for our autumn promotion. And I go, oh, isn't that nice? So we had to drop everything, call our supplier, have a special load of pumpkins delivered, try to find a wagon from some farmers we knew, and it just created havoc. So we had to drop everything we had. It cost us money to have an additional load of pumpkins delivered, and we lost a lot of time. So that
Mhm.
was my first experience into not being organized.
Okay. Okay.
You
Yeah.
and you can't if you if you don't know, if you don't have a plan about what's going on in your business, you can't survive.
Well, they say if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. And I 100% agree with that. If you don't have a plan, you're just what I call willy nilly in it, and you're just trying to figure it out along the way, which always, inevitably, you're gonna fail. Like, you gotta have a
Yes.
plan, you gotta have steps that you're gonna take. Trying to figure it out as you go is not a success plan.
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So, growing up in your family's grocery store and learning produce selection before you can even learn the alphabets, that's such a unique experience and a story. How did those early lessons shape your expertise and the way that you view food today?
Well, one thing my dad used to do is he was very particular about the brands he sold. So if he was presented with a new brand, for example, it might be green beans in a can, he would bring it home along with two other brands. He would have a blind taste test. He would put them in bowls on the table. We would have to evaluate them for color, for flavor, for the way they were cut.
Mm-hmm.
So picking the very best was important to him. So I have become very picky about my brand names, which has been hard during inflation
Yes.
because we shouldn't, uh, we need to save money by buying the store brand. My uncle was a butcher in the first deals market, and he taught me how to select the very best meat. He was
Mm-hmm.
really picky about it, so he taught me how to cook, how to select beef and chicken, what was really important about each one. So it made me very picky. I also got to be very picky about produce. My dad was just a real stickler. My dad loved working in the produce department, and when he would work cutting produce, he would get cuts in his hand, and the smell of produce was permanently embedded in his hands. But
Mm.
he taught me how to select things like pick a tomato, hold it in your hand, and just gently press. Just gently press to see if it's in the right ripeness. So
Mm-hmm.
it made me very picky.
Yeah, yeah. Many people think the organization only applies to closets and paperwork. Why do you believe that grocery shopping and food management are so important when it comes to creating an organized life?
Well, I think it's really important to plan your meals out in advance. I think weekly is nice. If you have a plan, if you're really busy, you want to minimize the time that you spend in the grocery store. So if you can go once a week, I think it's really important. Uh, I like planning my meals in advance, what I'm going to make each day. I think one of
Mm-hmm.
the hardest things that we face as adults is deciding what's for dinner.
Hello.
And if you're facing that dilemma every day, you're fretting and stewing about a lot of things. So I think deciding what's for dinner, uh, in advance is important. Making a list, shopping from the list. Uh, it's hard for my husband because if he's doing the shopping, every time he goes to the store, he's got to buy something that's not on the list. He sees
Mm-hmm.
those impulse items and has to buy them. But my whole life, cooking and shopping, I've made a weekly plan.
Yeah, I do the same. One of the benefits of the digital world is that, like yesterday, we were running low on some. I can't remember the actual item, but all I did was scanned it into the shopping app, and it automatically puts it in my cart. So now I don't have to like worry about overbuying things and not having things. If I know I'm running low on something, all I do is scan it, or I'll just go in and type it in, add it to my cart. When I get ready to place my full order, then I just place the order and I have everything that I need without worrying about, missing items, over purchasing. I'm definitely a weekly meal planning person, like you were just talking about. And I coach so many of my clients to do that. I created this whole, process of shopping in your home, then shopping at the store, uh, so that you can buy things that you actually need instead of buying things that you already have. But making those meal plans, creating that menu, then shopping is so important in making sure you do the full process.
Yes, and because of the difference in our generation, you're much more tech savvy than I am. But I have a running list of what
Mm-hmm.
I need. So if I'm running low, like if I've used up all my cumin or I'm low on it, then I write cumin down.
Yeah.
Right, what's on my list now is scrubbing bubbles.
Yeah. Well, that's how I was before tech came out. I mean, I've always done it. It's just now transitioned a little bit differently for me because I am a little bit tech savvy and I like technology. So I definitely agree. My dad still does. He still writes when something is out. He writes it on the refrigerator, and then I go and add it to the cart. So we still use both processes.
Yes.
Yeah. You often talk about shopping smarter. What are the biggest mistakes people make before they even walk in the grocery store?
Um, it drives me crazy when I see someone walk into the grocery store and grab the flyer because your supermarket well, where I live, they come out with their sale on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So on Wednesday, you can go online and see what's on sale, and you can shop you can shop directly from what's on sale and plan your meals. So, for example, where I am, this week we had chicken breasts, we had hamburger, and we had pork roast. So I think for busy people, one thing is, for example, with the pork roast, you could cook it once and use it several different ways. You could
Yeah.
have it maybe with potatoes and vegetables as a roast. You could have it for barbecued sandwiches. You could have it in tacos. So I think planning ahead, if you know the roast is on sale, you can say, oh, well, I can cook it once and use it three ways.
Yeah.
And I also think you shouldn't shop when you're hungry
Oh,
because you're going to buy more.
yes. That's why I like shopping online because I spend way less money shopping online than if I go into the grocery store hungry.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'll be like your husband and do the impulse shopping, putting things in my cart that I don't need. And they're unhealthy because you're just so hungry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for someone that's trying to save money and reduce stress, what are some step by step processes for planning meals? I guess we kind of talked about that and building a shopping list around the weekly sales. Do you have a step by step strategy that you use?
Well, my strategy is to go to the website, see what's on sale. They also have this week taco tortillas and avocados. So I would try to combine in my
Mm,
brain what things can I combine together. They
yeah.
also had a salsa that was on sale, which we get kind of picky about our salsas, so we might not want to buy the one that's on sale, but I would try to combine as many things that are in the ad as I could.
Yeah, to make a meal to see, okay, based on what I have at home, based on what's at sale, I can actually have, Taco Tuesday or whatever the case may be. So that's a great idea. I like that.
Yes, and they also had hamburger buns.
Mm-hmm.
So with the pork roast, you could do barbecued pork sandwiches.
Yeah, yeah. That's good. Awesome. So Right now is the time where we flip the mic. Miss Carol, what do you have a question that you would like to ask me?
Well, I guess I thought about it. I think it's harder for some people to be organized than others. I was once told that I was pretty organized for a creative person,
Okay, yeah.
but my husband is not organized. So, how do you uh, have less stress when someone isn't as organized as you are?
That's such a great question. First I'll say good luck with that. Uh Second, I'll say it's all about conversation, right? And having those conversations and seeing how you can meet each other in the middle, right? So I get that you're not that organized, but could you please do A, B, C, and D for me, right? Even if it's not fully cleaning the kitchen or fully doing this, can you at least, when you put your dish in the sink, can you rinse it, right? So it's, can you at least put the ketchup back where you get it from? Like, so it's those little conversations that you can have to help get buy-in from the people that are in your family, and trying to be a stickler about it without being super mean. Um, so, I mean, having kids, you'll always have people in your house that are not as organized as you, right? So, for me, when it was me and my boys, I always got them involved in the process so that it wouldn't feel like it was just my kitchen or just my refrigerator. It's okay. This time I cleaned it. Next time you're going to clean it, right? This time I straightened it up. Next time you're going to straighten it up. And that's a different dynamic from a spouse. But for spouses, you got to have those conversations to where you asking them to actually support you in what it is that you're trying to accomplish, instead of just telling them, I need you to do this, I need your support in order to reduce my stress, right? So those conversations are very important, and I think they really help, instead of being like do A, B, C, and D, having it to more of where they're supporting you in a process, and to get their buy-in in the process.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So, you emphasize keeping your refrigerator and pantry organized, right? When we talked before, what are some simple systems families can implement immediately to reduce food waste and make meal preparation easier?
I think the most important thing for reducing waste is keeping your fridge organized.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you just have to take everything out and clean it out.
Yeah.
Um, I keep my fridge organized much like a grocery store. So if I have a couple of jars of jam or jelly, I keep them together. I keep my pickles together. Um, I go through my produce bins every couple of days and make sure I don't have something going bad.
Mm-hmm.
So, another thing that I wanted to share that's important is there are certain temperatures in the fridge where we want to keep our food. So, for example, our dairy is better in the middle, and our snacks and
Mm.
our drinks are better up on top, but our meat is better on the bottom. And so sometimes we've got our veggie drawers and our fruit drawers on the bottom. So if we have meat that might leak, we want to put it in another container so we're not getting that cross contamination.
Yeah. I didn't
Um,
I didn't know about the temperature. I mean, that totally makes sense because I've seen stuff freeze on the top shelf. Definitely knew about making sure that your meat doesn't drip onto your produce in the bottom. But that's such a good observation. You said drinks at the top, dairy in the middle,
in the
and
middle,
then the meat on the bottom, or the produce on the bottom. But just making sure you're protecting your food.
yes. Yeah, if
Yeah,
you
that's
have meat
awesome.
that's going to drip, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The pantry, I have organized my pantry much like a grocery store.
Yeah.
So I keep all of my baking items together, my flour and my sugar, baking soda, baking powder. I keep all my breakfast things together. I keep all my canned goods together, so I try to separate out my soup from my tomatoes and my veggies, so I have a certain section for each one. I have a little container for my nuts, so if I've got several
Hmm.
different packages of nuts, they're all together. I bought a little shelf. It's a three shelf thing for my spices,
Hmm.
and I keep them alphabetical so that if I need alum, I go to the front, and if I need
Yeah.
vanilla bean, it's in the back.
Yeah.
So I like having my spices alphabetized.
Yeah.
Uh, if we're talking about reducing waste, um, we want to look at expiration dates. But for example, canned goods can be good for 1 to 2 years past their sell-by date. So how do we know if a canned good isn't good anymore? If it's bulging, we shouldn't buy it. But if we open it and it's got mold or a funny odor, then we shouldn't use it. But canned goods really uh, can last longer than their expiration date. So then when I'm bringing in new canned goods, I have something that I really like cooking with, which is fire roasted tomatoes, diced fire roasted tomatoes, salsa style, and Kroger sells that. So I found particularly during the pandemic that they were always out. So if they had it, I always buy it.
A
So
bunch of them.
when I do that, I rotate the oldest to the back. So we do
Yeah.
want to rotate our products.
Yeah, that's called the FIFO method. And I learned that when I was working in retail. I didn't work in retail grocery, but I worked at the big chains, Walmart, Family Dollar. And we did the FIFO method, first in, first out. Also,
Yes,
in the food industry, I did work in food also. But whatever you bring in first needs to go out first.
yes.
So that's very important. And when I'm working with clients, I always emphasize that we checking our expiration date. I did know that canned goods could last longer than the best of use by date. However, that's just confirmed. You just confirmed it for me because I don't like to tell people when I'm working with them how long they should keep produce or how like no, you should get rid of it because I don't tell people what to do. I follow their lead. So if you want to keep it, if you want to eat it, this is your house. I'm leaving. You can keep it for as long as you want. I just want you aware of what the date is, right? So we're looking at all the dates, checking them, and if it's a date past the expiration date, I'll present it to them, and they get to decide whether they want to keep it or not.
Well, it is really important to look at dates, especially with perishables. And so my book does have a lot of tips to look for how long perishable foods will be good past the expiration
Mm,
date. Because, like eggs, can be good 3 to 5 weeks past their expiration date. And
mm,
how do we know if they're not any good anymore? If we put them in a bowl of water or in a pan of water and they float, we shouldn't eat them. And
mm.
milk is also good for 3 to 7 days past the expiration date. And how do we know if it's not any good? We give it a good sniff. And if
Yeah.
we know if it smells, you should pass it. So you can use food past the expiration date. You do have to be careful because you don't want to get sick. But
Yeah.
there are tips in my book about how to do that.
Yeah. Awesome. So one of the fascinating things to me when I'm working with clients is how much food people actually throw away or even have to throw away because they're working with me and don't realize how much expired food they had in their pantry. I mean, we they sometimes it can go back 10 years. I've had people move several times and still take that box of rice with them everywhere they go and they've moved that was 10 years ago, right? What are some of the surprising food storage or even freezer tips that you can have for people? We haven't really talked about freezer today. So, do you have any tips for how we can store our food in the freezer or maybe in the refrigerator? Best practices?
My book is full of all kinds of tips on
Oh,
how to
nice.
freeze everything. One
Gotcha.
thing that surprises people is milk. You can freeze milk, half and half or cream. And we do that by putting it in an ice cube tray, putting it into the freezer. And once it's solid, we transfer it to a storage bag. And we
Oh,
mark the date on it that we froze it because we don't want to use that longer or keep that frozen longer than a month. But now, when milk or when dairy thaws, it's going to become grainy and slushy. So we can't use it on our cereal or put it in our coffee, but we can use it for baking and cooking. So that
oh,
is one way to, a lot of people, especially with kids, will have a gallon of milk and maybe they're going on vacation or something and can't get it used. So you can freeze it then, but use it within a month. So I have all kinds of tips. You can even freeze eggs. And so
mm,
you can freeze either the whites alone, the yolks alone, or you can whisk them together and freeze them like you would with scrambled eggs. Again, you put them either into a muffin tin or a ice cube tray and freeze them. Once they're solid, then you transfer them to an appropriate freezer bag. And we want to use eggs within 3 months.
okay, okay. And so that's the before you cook them. That's like raw eggs.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
I have talked to people who freeze eggs in their shell, but my experience with that is that the shells crack and then you have a horrible mess.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. That's good advice too. I like that one. All right, so let's talk about your book a little bit. So you've written this award-winning book that teaches people how to shop smarter and store their food properly. What motivated you to turn your decades of grocery experience into this educational resource that people can use?
Um, I I saw inflation going up. I believe when prices go up, they don't usually come down.
Yeah.
Uh, we were struggling at the time, too, as everyone is struggling with the cost of food going up. And I just thought, well, I should share what I know. And
Hmm.
I did pull my shopping information out from my cookbook and I spent a year expanding it. So, for example, in my cookbook, there isn't information about freezing milk.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the only recipes I really have in grocery shopping secrets are making broth. So
Mm.
rather than composting our veggie scraps, I have a recipe for making veggie broth and how to use your turkey carcass to make turkey soup. I have using chicken bones, pork chop bones, beef bones on making broth. And I even have a recipe for saving our shrimp shells or our crab shells to make seafood stock.
Mm.
So it's really a book about waste not, want not.
Mm.
Use what you have, buy what you need, use what you have.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. So, the organized life is all about creating systems that supports your peace, productivity, and pushes you towards purpose. What is the final advice that you would give someone who wants to become more intentional about their food, their finances, home management, food management, all of those things? What are some advice the final advice that you would leave us with?
Um, I think knowledge is power, and the more you know about food, uh, the better you're going to be buying fresher food. It's going to last longer. It's going to taste better. So I think really knowing what you're buying instead of,
Mm-hmm.
it drives me crazy when I'm in the produce department and people just grab a tomato and they don't even look
Yeah.
at it. Um, I I say I believe every day your supermarket will sell some produce that can be classified as garbage. Are you
Mm.
ever shopping and you see a tomato or a green pepper that has fungus on it and it's all shriveled up and you wonder, does a produce clerk think I'm blind that I would buy this? So I think, and also, uh, since COVID, I believe the quality of the produce we're buying has really gone downhill.
Yeah.
So I have a little slideshow that when I give a talk, it shows the good, the bad, and the ugly in romaine. And too often, what we're finding in the grocery store is the ugly. So
Mm.
if it's got uh, big butts, large butts, or large milky ribs, it's not going to be as good a quality. So we want romaine that is green, really green, all the way down into the center. So I've got lots of tips that really help people know what to look for and getting the very best. For example, I bought a cauliflower, and when cauliflower starts to deteriorate, it gets little brown spots on it. And
Right, right.
I said to the clerk, "Do you have any cauliflower that doesn't have brown spots?" And she said, "No, this is all we have. It just came off the truck." So I had to buy it. And what was my intention? It was just to cut out the brown. But my wheat got discombobbled and I didn't make the cauliflower for 5 days. And by the time I made it, it was brown all the way into the interior.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. That's crazy that that was all they had.
Yeah.
Ugh. So, Carol, what tell the Organized Life listeners where they can find you, how they connect with you, tell them all about your book, where they can get the book from, your resources, and your shopping secrets, where they can get them from.
My cookbook is available on Amazon and on my website. Grocery Shopping Secrets is available on Amazon and my website, www.carolinecates.com. Grocery Shopping Secrets is also available in any store that sells books through Ingram. I do have a weekly blog and I post recipes with tips on how to select the product. So, for example, last week I did a clam recipe and I had tips on how to shop for clams, store clams, and clean clams. There's another tongue twister for you.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Carol, for being here. I really appreciate it. So much knowledge about food. We haven't had this conversation, like I said before. So I think it's going to be a great one. To the Organized Life listeners, I hope that you really enjoyed this. And remember, if whatever strategy or system you're putting in place is not saving you in all four areas space, time, energy, and money you want to tweak it, you want to revisit it, see what's working, what's not working, do more of what's working and try to eliminate some of the things that you know are not working. Again, thank you so much, Carol, for being here. I really appreciate it.
It was great to be with you.
Awesome. And until next time, you guys, ciao.